Can you see it? Streaming the truth live from where they decree it. Sylvia speaks, no filter, no buffer. Courtroom drama couldn't get any tougher.
When the gavel's first bang, to the witness turns tears. Sylvia's lens captures all your hopes and fears. Uploading justice one trial at a time. Tune in every moment, edges sublime.
Welcome to the Sylvia Show, oh yeah. She's got the inside scoop, don't you care? With every verdict, the suspense does grow. So hit subscribe, let's start the show. Welcome to the Sylvia Show, oh yeah. She's got the inside scoop, don't you care? With every verdict, the suspense does grow. So hit subscribe, let's start the show. Faces tell stories, the courtroom can't hide. Sylvia's insights cut through the divide. From jury talks to the lawyer's secret. In Sylvia's world, you know you'll need it. Behind the scenes where whispers are loud, her lens reveals the truth in the crowd. Courtroom secrets laid bare to see. Stay curious with Sylvia Spree. Every objection, every sharp retort, Sylvia's there to give you the report. Exclusive footage no one else can snag. From catchy headlines straight to the tag. Welcome to the Sylvia Show, oh yeah. She's got the inside scoop, don't you care? With every verdict, the suspense does grow. So hit subscribe, let's start the show. Welcome to the Sylvia Show, oh yeah. She's got the inside scoop, don't you care? With every verdict, the suspense does grow. So hit subscribe, let's start the show.
Faces tell.
All right, guys, we're back. We're back. They're muted right now.
Agent Dickerson, after you finished on December 5th of 2022, did you in any way facilitate another crime scene location?
Yes, ma'am.
Where did you go?
311 East 65th Street in Savannah.
Why did you go to that location?
Well, at that point, Mindy had been identified, and further investigation revealed that she and Nicholas had lived at this address for a period of time during the window in which she would have died.
Okay. Do you know what their arrangements for the living conditions were at that location?
The residence was being utilized through Airbnb as a rental.
Okay. And when they rented at that location, did you know at the time you went to the crime scene who resided at that location?
We did not.
Okay. Can you tell the jury just a general description of what that location looked like?
Sure. It was a single-story residence in a neighborhood full of similar homes. Not a big residence. I guess I'd have to look at the square footage in my notes, but there were 2 bedrooms, 2 dens, and a kitchen, and I believe 2 bathrooms. There was a nice backyard that was enclosed, shaded with trees. There was a shed in the backyard, and the backyard butted up to an alley that ran through for trash collection.
Okay. And when you went to that location, how did you gain access?
We spoke with the owner of the residence and obtained their consent or her consent to search the residence and treat it as a crime scene.
Okay. So you were permitted to go there?
Correct. Yes, ma'am.
And at the time that you went there in May, did Mr. Kassotis reside there anymore?
No, ma'am.
So at that time, the person that owned the residence was responsible for that location?
Correct.
Okay. So you got permission from them to go in?
We did.
And they granted that?
They did.
Okay. Do you take a signed document to ensure that you have some proof that that was the case?
So yes, we do have a form that's just used for consent to search whenever we try to obtain that during the course of the investigation. I was not the agent who actually obtained that permission, but that is a standard practice.
Okay. And so when you enter the residence, can you tell the jury how you handle a physical crime scene like a residence any differently than perhaps the woods?
Well, and this is a very unusual crime scene because normally when we're responding to something, this is to an incident that just occurred. In this case, we weren't sure exactly when this crime was committed. We had an idea at the time, a time range, if you will, but there had been a significant amount of time, months had passed between when this crime had potentially occurred, and we weren't even sure it had occurred there. So we were going through to search this house, not really knowing 100% what we were looking for or if we'd find anything.
Okay. Would it be fair to say that there had been other residents inside of that dwelling in between December of 2022 and when you got there in May of 2023?
Yes, ma'am. So with the residence being treated as an Airbnb, there were people being moved through the residence from time to time. I don't have records and don't have access to those, and have not had access to those during the course of my portion of the investigation. But as you can imagine, there were other people who would come in inside and out of the house.
So at that point, how did that impact what you did?
Well, as far as contamination goes, and we pretty much treat this as a scene that's again, we're not 100% sure what we're looking for. To a certain extent, we just got to use common sense. We know that Mindy received some pretty serious injuries, as horrible as you can imagine. You saw the photographs, and we had to look for signs that may have occurred there. So the easiest thing to look for at that point was for blood.
Okay. Can you explain to the jury how you would go about finding blood that may have been left behind?
So again, some of the tests that you saw, I described seeing a physical stain, like a reddish brown substance, clinging to the side of a container, or maybe on a piece of cloth. When we look for blood that's not visible, we look for blood that may have been cleaned up, or maybe was deposited in minuscule amounts that's just not visible to the naked eye. We do have some chemical processes that we can employ to look for those and try to identify those stains where they are. The one that we chose to use in this case was called Blue Star. Now, you heard me talk about Blue Star OBTI. That's a presumptive test for human blood, but Blue Star is a product. They make several different products, and this particular one that we used is just Blue Star. It contains a chemical called luminol, you may have heard of before. Luminol and Blue Star, both in the presence of hydrogen peroxide, come into contact with blood and cause that blood to glow. So it's not like on TV where you may have seen a crime scene investigator go into a house and shine a black light around and see blood, and the blood starts glowing. That's not what happens. Blood doesn't glow under an alternate light source. In this case, we can use the blood, mix it according to the manufacturer's specifications, and then spray it in a fine mist. And anywhere that mist falls where blood is in a detectable level, and it's pretty sensitive stuff. If I remember correctly, it's about 10 parts per million that it can detect. And what it does is that blue glow that I'm describing is called chemoluminescence. It's the same way that fireflies or glow sticks emit light. It's not a chemical process that emits much heat, but it does emit a faint glow. So one of the things we have to do when we employ that chemical is we have to make sure that the residence is very dark. So one of the things, again, that we had to do to prepare to even spray the chemical was to go around and cover all the doors and windows with black plastic. We unplugged microwaves and taped over LED lights and things and made sure that the residence was as dark as we could get it, and moved all of our camera equipment inside, and then began searching the house using Blue Star to look for stains that could potentially be blood.
Okay. Now, just so that we can start with some visuals, I'm going to go to slide number 42. Can you tell us what's depicted here?
This is another drone photograph. This is from directly over the residence. The residence in this case that was 311 is going to be the third from the left.
Okay. That'd be fair to say that it's the one underneath the biggest tree on the left side of the photograph?
Right. Most of the backyard was shaded.
Okay. And so that's the overhead of that house?
Right.
How far apart were those other houses from this house?
They were pretty close. I'm not sure that you could park two cars in between the houses, so they were packed pretty tight.
Okay. And I'm now going to the next screen, 43. Would that be the distance between if you're facing the house, the left side of the house and the house closest to it?
Right. This depicts the left side of the house if you're facing it from the roadway, and it's right there in the center of the photograph.
Okay. And can you also see there where there is the pathway to the right of the house? I'm referring to, and I'm zooming in right over here.
Right. So there was a concrete walkway from the road, from the sidewalk to the front stoop of the house. There was a way to walk around the right side of the house, but it was not very well kept. That concrete walkway actually went to the neighbor's house.
Okay. But that is the distance between the right side of the house and the neighbor to the right?
Yeah, that's a good depiction of it, yes.
Okay. I'm now going to slide number 44. Can you tell us, how did you gain access to enter the house? What was involved with getting into the house?
So we met, I believe, we obtained permission from the owner of the residence, and she allowed us.
I'm going to stop you. I need to clarify my question. I mean to physically walk into the house. How do you get in?
Through the front door.
Oh, I know. Are there any steps?
There are.
Okay. Can you describe that for the jury?
Sure. So there, you see there's a concrete walkway from the sidewalk to the front of the house. There's a iron railing and our metal railing and a front stoop there, and then the front door.
Okay. So you'd have to go up those couple of steps, either holding on the left or right railing if you chose to then make that right, I guess, into that front door?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I'm now going to slide number 45. What's depicted here?
This is the bedroom on the southwest corner, or excuse me, apologies, not bedroom. This is the den area, living room on the southwest corner of the house.
Okay. And are there any light sources inside of this room that had to be covered in order to be able to conduct the Blue Star?
Yes, ma'am. The doors there leading out to the back porch or the back deck, and then the window, and also on the opposite side of the room is the kitchen. So there was kitchen windows that needed to be covered as well.
Okay. And inside of this room, was there ultimately anything of significance to your investigation?
Yes, ma'am. When we started searching with the Blue Star, one of the first things that we saw that gave us a positive reaction was the blue futon there, the cushion on the rear of it.
I'm just going to ask you once again, you said they. Are you referring to yourself or to someone else?
I am. I had help, assistance. Again, this is a fairly major undertaking to put up all the plastic and everything. So I had help from my team, and additional agents that come in and help me prepare, and then stood by and helped me observe while I applied the chemical.
Okay. So were they assisting at your direction?
They were.
Okay. And were they in your presence the entire time?
They were.
Okay. When you say they assisted, did all of you then ultimately put up these tarps or obstructions to the light sources?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And was there anything in this room that became noteworthy after you applied the Blue Star?
Yes, ma'am. After I applied the Blue Star, there were a couple of things. One, and the most obvious, was the blue futon there, the couch with the cover over it. The top of the couches were facing there on the left-hand side. Had a significant reddish-brown stain on it that actually, once we discovered it using the Blue Star, we flipped the light back on and saw that it was actually visible to the naked eye.
Is that the couch you're referring to there that I've kind of zoomed in on?
It is.
Okay. And did you then ultimately have the opportunity to capture photographs of the Blue Star reaction on this futon?
I did.
Okay. Can you explain to the jury, is it always possible to capture a Blue Star reaction?
So no, the way Blue Star works is it causes a reaction that is basically transient. That energy that's being released in the form of light, once that reaction is over with, that catalyst occurs, it only lasts so long. So, and because some of the sample was actually consumed as part of that testing, is something that you can't just do over and over and over again and expect the same results. So And usually there's at least 3 applications that are involved in the recovery and documentation of any stain that we found with Blue Star. And it's the first one that we use to identify it. That's when it first glows and we go, okay, well, there's a possibility there's a stain there. Then we'll set up camera equipment and we'll try to go ahead and measure and capture that. And then usually a third one to make sure that we get a good photograph. But that's not always possible. It depends a lot on the substrate or the material that the chemicals actually coming into contact with and what the blood is actually sitting on or in, and then how much has actually been deposited there.
Okay. So in this case, meaning with the futon, you were able to capture.
Yes.
Okay. I'm now going to show you slide number 46. Can you tell us what that is?
So that is what Blue Star basically looks like in the dark when you spray something that makes it react, usually blood.
And what is depicted in that image, slide 46?
That is the stain as we observed it on the rear of the futon.
Okay. I'm now going to slide number 47, and I'm asking you, can you tell us what is depicted on the area that I've zoomed in on?
So that's the same area of the futon, and again, you can see that reddish brown stain there on top of it.
Okay. And would it be fair to say that's the naked eye as opposed to Blue Star?
Yes, that was visible, with or without the Blue Star being applied.
Okay. And now looking at slide number 48, what do you have depicted there?
That's the same stain. We just pulled the futon down. That futon, the stain would have been in the upright position on the back side of the futon. So we basically just folded that cushion over and then applied a scale there to give you an idea of what size the stain was.
So I'm looking at slide number 49. Is that what you're describing?
That's correct.
Okay. So would it be fair then to say, where is that stain located on that mattress or futon seating area?
As it was oriented when we found it, and keeping in mind that, of course, the futon mattress can be placed in pretty much any configuration you want it. That stain would have been on toward the wall there where that metal portion of it is standing up against the wall.
Okay. Do you have any idea if that futon mattress had been moved?
No, I have no idea. It was that as you saw it in the first photograph is how we found it.
So I'm going back to slide number 45. Is that what you're referring to?
Correct.
And so, but you don't have any way of knowing if since December of 2022 that had been reoriented or moved in any way?
I have no idea.
Okay. So you just documented what you found?
Correct.
Okay. So when you see this stain, you said you took a measurement of the scale and the range. Is that correct, that the stain spread?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to show you slide number 50. What did you do here?
So again, these are field tests, the same as we used before, is phenolphthalein and also the OBTI test. The phenolphthalein returned a positive result for blood. The OBTI test returned a positive result for human blood.
Okay. Is that same stain that you were referring to?
Right. In this case, we used a sterile razor blade just to cut a small sample of the cloth away and test the cloth itself.
Okay. And why did you do that?
It's easier and more accurate than trying to resaturate a stain using distilled water or something like that. The normal, if we had found a dry sample or a dry stain somewhere that we want to sample, we use what's called a wet dry technique, where we'd use 2 swabs, wet one with distilled water and use it, and then collect another with dry, and then use both of them in the test. And in this case, it was just as easy to cut a small section of the stain away and test it.
So you put the actual cloth into your testing sample?
Correct.
Okay. And with respect to the phenolphthalein, did you do any other testing?
We did the phenolphthalein test, and then we also did the OBTI test to determine if it was human blood or not. And that test returned a positive result for human blood.
And with respect to blood testing, and if this is outside of your area, please just tell me, can you tell when a stain of blood happened?
No.
Why not?
I mean, that blood could have been placed there at any time. I have no way of telling when it was there. In fact, Blue Star can be used to recover, in an archaeological sense, can be used to actually identify blood on ancient remains.
So you just know that there was blood, you don't know when it was deposited.
Correct.
Okay. Now looking at slide number 51, what's depicted here?
So we decided to collect the stain itself from the mattress just by cutting it away. So we took the stained section away, packaged it as evidence, and then noticed that the batting or the material, the padding underneath, had actually been saturated with what appeared to be blood as well. So we decided to take a sample of it too.
Okay. And is that what's depicted in this photograph?
Correct.
I'm now showing you slide number 52. Can you tell the jury what is on the floor there that I am showing?
Right. So as part of the search process, and like I said before, there's usually an application done Blue Star to identify where stains are. Once we identify a good location where we feel like there may be some stains, we'll mark that location. At this point, we use some black tape and just marked the outline of the stains on the floor in the general area. And then went back, set up our photograph equipment. Because again, you only get so many bites of the apple at this. If you want to make sure that you get a photograph as best you can, if you can. And so in this case, we did. We were able to take this photograph, and the way this photograph was taken is a very long exposure. Most of the time, if you hear a camera click, the shutter only stays open for just a moment. In this case, the camera was placed on a tripod, and the shutter was allowed to stay open for a very long time, almost a minute, I believe, in this particular exposure. And then at the very end, I had a flash that I aimed at the ceiling. The light went up, bounced out, and then illuminated the rest of the room. So you can see both the Blue Star stain there on the floor as well as its context with the furniture and the floor.
Okay. Now, where was this stain located in relationship to the, I'll go back to slide number 45, the rug that you see in this room?
So we sprayed the rug and we didn't get a reaction from it. So in order to check underneath it, we moved it and then sprayed again. And that's when we found the stains on the floor.
So the rug didn't fluoresce,
It did not.
but what was under it did.
That's correct.
Did you notice anything about the pattern that the stain was in on the floor under where the rug was?
Well, in contrast to the stain that was on the back of the futon, you could not see the stains that are on the floor. This flooring was kind of like a vinyl plank. It was manufactured, and if you got down closely and looked at it, there were grooves in it, and this blood was not visible to the naked eye at all. So the blood that you're seeing there that's fluorescent, that's causing that stain, is actually from blood that's down in the grooves of the floor.
So when you pulled the rug up first, you couldn't see that stain with your naked eye?
Not at all.
And you only saw it when the fluorescing occurred?
That's correct.
Showing you slide number 53. What's depicted there?
This is the same area of flooring with the light turned off and just the chemoluminescence depicted in the photograph.
Was there anything that drew your attention as a crime scene specialist with respect to the pattern of that stain?
Ma'am, in my opinion, particularly on the right-hand side of the screen, you can see where there's a strong reaction. Probably, yes, ma'am. There in the center of the screen, there's the brightest reaction. You see how it tails off to the right, to the bottom of the photograph. That, in my opinion, appears to be a wipe. A wipe is where we have blood that's been deposited on the surface and then something moves through it, as opposed to a swipe, which would be where something bloody comes into contact with the surface and then deposits blood on it. So what we can tell from this is there was a bloodletting event that occurred in this home at some point, and then it appears that it's been wiped through.
And with respect to that, the grooves, can you see them in this pattern?
Yes, ma'am. They move from left to right in the photograph.
And when you say from left to right, would that be from left to the right in the photograph itself?
Yes, ma'am.
So when you refer to the swipe, is that the correct terminology?
Wipe.
Wipe. My apologies. When you refer to the wipe, are you referring to this section at the lower right-hand portion right here? I'm going to zoom in on it specifically.
Yes, ma'am.
And that would be a downward motion, correct?
Yes, ma'am, across the grain, so to speak.
So it was across the grain. Would blood normally move in that fashion on its own?
No, ma'am, I
That's
can't.
speculation.
If he can testify as an expert and render
Yeah,
his
he's been
opinion.
qualified as an expert, so I'll allow it.
I can't honestly think of a way that blood could have gotten into the grooves of the floor without also being on top of the floor. I mean, I suppose you could get a syringe with a tiny needle and put diluted blood in there and then get down on your hands and knees and insert blood into the grooves in the floor and make that pattern. But it would be kind of ridiculous. I mean, that's the only other way I can think of.
Okay. Can we turn, please? Now, Your Honor, I'm about to move to the physical evidence. Do you want to do a comfort break now, or would you like me to keep going?
Yeah, we can do that. We'll take 10 minutes, ladies and gentlemen, just excuse me. All right, the jury's out. We're in recess.
Thank you, Your Honor.
right, everyone, please be seated. Ms. Fail, you may continue.
Thank you. Now, Agent Dickerson, you indicated just before we broke that you saw those images of the floor underneath the carpet, correct?
Yes, ma'am, I observed that.
Okay. Did you do anything with respect to those images other than just photograph them? That space under the floor?
Yes, ma'am.
What did you do?
So much like phenolphthalein and some of the other tests I've talked to you today about field testing, Blue Star is in and of itself considered a field test. So if we see a blue glow like that, then we can safely presume that that sample may be blood. So we went ahead and collected swabs of several areas. We did talked about collecting the futon cover, but I also swabbed the floor in several areas. There was also a small spot on the wall.
Okay, talk to us about what you saw on the wall.
Okay, so on the wall above where the futon back was located in that first photograph you saw, there was an arc-shaped stain on the wall. It was extremely faint. It was very, very hard to see. You had to be almost on top of it, even with the naked eye, to see it. And after that first application of Blue Star, really couldn't tell much more about it. The wall was a painted surface, so it wasn't very porous, so there's nowhere for the blood to really soak in, so to speak. And with that small of a sample, my conclusion that I felt reasonable to draw was that that first test had actually consumed what visible blood there would have been on the wall. We did swab that area though and make sure to take a sample for the lab.
Okay.
I just wasn't able to photograph it.
Okay, so earlier you testified that sometimes with Blue Star you can or can't capture a photograph. With respect to the area behind the futon, were you able to actually capture a photograph?
Not of the wall behind the futon, no.
Okay. So when you made the first application of the Blue Star, were you able to see any fluorescence?
I was able to see some, yes. That's how I identified that stain on the wall.
Okay. And with respect to the naked eye, meaning without Blue Star, could you see that at all?
No, ma'am, not at all.
Okay. And was there anything about what you saw when it was first fluorescing that drew it to be of interest to you?
It was just so because there was the shape of the stain was determined by that chemoluminescence, that glow. The glowing area was how you could see, again, that arc shape that I described on the wall. And it was just a couple of inches wide, probably about this long on the wall.
So I'm just going to ask you to clarify for the record. You did some gesture with your hands. How wide are you talking about?
A little over a foot.
Okay.
And again, it was a couple of inches in thickness from top to bottom, and it was kind of an arcing shape across the wall.
Okay. And you're making a gesture with your hand in an arcing movement. Is that correct?
Correct.
Is that what you believed had occurred? If you could draw an opinion.
It's very difficult to say, but considering that the Blue Star returned a positive result, and then we were able to test that later on at laboratory, there's a possibility that it could have been cleaned up.
Okay. And so, but that you were not able to document in a photograph, just what you made observations of.
Correct.
Okay. Now, with respect to this case, just before I move on completely, you previously testified, and I just want to introduce these into evidence. Your Honor, may I approach the witness with what I've pre-marked as 1.2, 1.3, and 1.4, which I've previously shown to counsel. Do you recognize these three?
Yes, ma'am. These are the two sketches in the legend to the sketch.
Okay.
For
When you
the
say
first scene,
from the first
where
scene.
the torso was found.
Okay. And when you say a legend, can you tell us what you mean by that?
So a legend is like a key to read a map. This is just a list of which pieces of evidence were associated to which placard number for reference purposes.
Your Honor, at this time I would seek to introduce these exhibits 1.2, 3, and 4.
Any objection? No objection.
All right, they're admitted without objection.
May I just display 1.3?
Yeah.
I'm going to go old school here. Is this the legend you're referring to?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and you're publishing to the jury. What specifically are those numbers on this legend that you're referring to?
The numbers on the left-hand side represent the placard numbers that were used at the scene to denote the different pieces of evidence that we located.
Okay, and having noted those, are those the placard numbers that you testified to earlier concerning where the totes and the other various items were recovered by the gate at Jones Road?
Correct.
Thank you. Now, Agent Dickerson, after you processed each of these crime scenes, what happens to the physical evidence that you recovered?
So the evidence comes back with me to the Region 5 field office. We have an evidence processing area there. So you heard me talk earlier about the items that were wet that needed to be preserved. We were able to, or I was able to place those into the drying cabinet to be preserved and dried so it could be properly packaged. And then the other items that were ready to be packaged, I went ahead and packaged those. And to be entered into our digital evidence system, each item of evidence is assigned a barcode number. And that barcode number is then used to track evidence through the system so we can determine chain of custody later on, just to make sure there's a record.
Does every single item that's recovered get its own unique barcode?
Not every single item, but generally speaking, we tend to group like items together. Now, I wouldn't take something that I found in one area and something that I found in another disparate area somewhere else and put them in the same bag. But, you know, all the cleaning wipes, for example, when they were packaged, many of them were packaged together in the same bag because they were found in the same location on the side of the road, and they were the same item. So,
If it's a unique item, does it get its own number?
yes.
Okay. And if it was found, for example, at the Savannah location versus the Torso location, you would have then issued different numbers?
Correct. Nothing between scenes would be packaged together.
Okay. And was that the case here as well?
That's correct.
Okay. And were you the one that handled the coding and submission of those numbers and affixing of the barcodes?
I handled the coding and the packaging and the entry into the digital evidence system, and then the evidence submission forms and to be turned over to the crime lab along with the evidence for testing would be something the case agent would generally handle.
Okay. So at some point, do you pass it off to someone?
Yes, ma'am.
Who would that be?
Agents Tracy Sands, case agent.
And why was it him that it would go to?
Well, because being the case agent, he's privy to other information that would help help us determine or make decisions about what evidence needs to go, what particular items of evidence need to go to which sections of the lab, and then the lab has their own order for things and which order they need to be processed. So with him having conducted interviews with people during the course of the investigation, he'd have more information about that than I would as just the crime scene specialist.
Okay. So he would ultimately be the one to make those determinations?
Again, it's kind of like the quarterback calling a play. He'd be the one to make that determination.
Okay. Now, the items that you ultimately processed back at Region 5, did you ultimately submit them to the crime laboratory for analysis? Some of them?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. We're going to talk about some of those here today. Did you bring them with you physically to court for you to display them?
I did.
Okay. I'm going to note, Your Honor, that there are some gloves up on the stand. Please, I hope they're the right size. If you could just take a look. I'm going to start with the two totes. Are those present here in the courtroom today?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Can we start with first the black tote? If you can just tell us which box and number that would bear.
Mess it, man.
Yes, sir.
This is the box. It's got the black tote in it, and it's got barcode number CC00792.
And would it be you that affixed that box number or code number on that?
I was.
Okay. And do you recognize that box and that barcode number?
I do.
Is that something that you packaged and processed yourself?
I did.
And is it in the same or substantially the same condition as when you initially processed it, barring, of course, any additional stickers maybe from the crime laboratory?
Right. So this, both of these boxes went to the crime lab. The black tote in particular, it went to the crime lab. It was opened and then processed there and then resealed within the same package.
Would the crime laboratory do anything with respect to those exhibits after they finish their testing? To reseal it is what I'm referring to.
Correct. So some of this tape, on the front end of things, we generally use red evidence tape. The crime lab has a system where they use different colors of tape as the item may move through different areas of the crime lab. So you'll see some different colors on here. You see where the impressions of evidence sealed this part of the box with white tape as opposed to the red tape that I used.
And that would have been the crime lab's tape?
Correct.
Okay. And your tape then would be the red tape, is that correct?
That's right.
And inside of that box would be what item?
This is the black tote that was found near the location where Mindy's torso was recovered, right there on the southwest corner of the intersection of the first crime scene. And this was recovered the very first night.
I'm now pulling up slide 1.1D from the exhibits. I'm going to show this to the witness.
Yes, ma'am.
Is this in fact the same tote, Your Honor, may I publish this to the jury?
You may.
Is this the same tote that is inside of that box that we're referring to right now?
Yes.
Your Honor, I would like to have this exhibit marked as 1.5, if that's okay. Has this box been opened by you since it was submitted to the crime laboratory?
No, ma'am.
And so the contents of that box were processed by them after you?
Correct.
Okay. At this point, Your Honor, I'm going to ask the witness to, I'm going to ask to introduce this into evidence.
Any objection?
No objection, Your Honor. May I reposition to see him open that?
Yes, sir. Yes. So it's admitted without objection. 1.5.
At this time, Your Honor, I'm going to ask the witness to open the box.
Go ahead.
You all see it okay?
Your Honor, I would ask the jury for permission to stand if they need to.
Your Honor, may my client reposition from here? Thank you.
Is that the tote that was recovered on December 2nd of 2022 at the Riceboro Portal Hunting Club?
Yes, ma'am.
How do you know that?
It's similar in appearance. I also recall the crack here at the bottom. Still got a piece of fine straw stuck in it.
Is there a tag of any sort on the end of the tote as well?
Yes, ma'am. That's the crime lab.
Okay. And can you tell the jury what type of a tote is that? Are there any markings on it?
Yes, ma'am. So this is manufactured by the brand under the brand name Husky. It's a 25-gallon latch and stack tote. I believe our investigation indicated they're available at Home Depot.
Okay. And specifically, that tote, did you provide it to the crime laboratory in that box?
I did. We actually don't have boxes quite this big as standard, so I had to go to Lowe's and get a large box, a couple large boxes, so we were able to fit something or fit the evidence inside.
Okay. And ultimately, that was what you brought to the crime laboratory for them to analyze?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And if you could, can you just turn that on its side for just a moment? Was that the larger or the smaller of the two totes?
This was the smaller of the two.
Okay. And that was the one that was found near what portion of her remains?
This container was discovered where, near the location where Mindy's torso was found.
Okay. And you can put that back. You had one handle, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you find a second handle?
I have to look at the photographs to refresh my memory right off.
Okay. If you need to, please, by all means.
Yes, ma'am. I believe it's just the one handle.
Okay. And so if there had been more than one, would you have included both when you submitted it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So you submitted it in the condition you found it?
Yes.
Okay. And we're done with that. You can place that away. Thank you so much. Now, there's a second box. What is inside of that box, sir?
This would be the gray tube that was discovered by the cadaver dogs on the side of the road. It wasn't too far away from where Mindy's torso was found. It was actually on Jones Road instead of on a private lane.
Okay. And Your Honor, I'm going to ask that this be marked as 1.6, if that's permissible.
Yes, ma'am.
Does this have a specific identifying barcode that was associated with that exhibit from the Georgia Bureau of Investigation?
Yes, ma'am. It's CC00806.
And do you recognize that box?
Yes, ma'am. This is the box that I packaged the gray tube.
Okay. And is it in the same or substantially the same condition, minus, of course, the crime scene laboratory, or rather the crime laboratory tape?
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, at this time, I'm going to seek to introduce 1.6 in evidence.
Any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
Submitted.
If we can open that box, please. You also have two items right there. Do you recognize that item?
Yes, this is the tube. These are the two handles.
Okay. And where was that item located?
This was found about a half mile or so from the road where Mindy's torso was discovered, back south from the original location.
And where was that in proximity to her leg?
Would have been west,
How far approximately?
about a mile.
Okay.
Give or take.
So that was that,
You're talking about as the crow flies or as you drive.
right. And would it be fair to say that there's only a few roads physically over there?
Right.
And more as the crow flies? Okay. That tote itself, what type of tote is that, size and type? If you look on the front of that,
So this is Sterilite, 34 gallon.
okay. And that tote is gray in color, is that correct?
It is.
Okay. That was in fact the same tote that you processed on the day of which December 5th of
It was
2022?
found December 5th, yes, ma'am.
Okay,
And it does appear to be the same too.
okay. Are those the two totes, that being 1.5 and 1.6, that you did swabbings on that we saw the photographs of?
Yep.
Okay, I thank you. We're finished with those. I'm now going to point your attention to CC 00808, the lid of the gray tote. Did you process that lid?
I did not.
You did not, okay. Do you know who did?
This tote was, tote lid rather, was collected, turned over to me, and then it was subsequently submitted to the crime lab.
Do you know who submitted it to the crime laboratory?
We submitted it as part of our evidence submission process.
And when you say we, who are you referring to?
Investigative team, which has been headed up by Agent Sands.
Okay, so that tote itself, do you know, the lid itself, do you know who actually put it into that bag?
I did.
You did, okay. So somebody gave it to you and ultimately you processed it, you simply didn't recover it, is that right?
That's correct.
Okay, and would it be fair to say that you had an opportunity to look at that lid in conjunction with the item that is in evidence as 1.6?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
However, I did not place two things together because they were found in different areas. We want to avoid cross-contamination, so they were packaged separately and processed separately.
So do you have any idea if that lid actually fits on that tote?
I do not. I'm assuming that it did. It's approximately the same size, but that would be an assumption, so I'll try it.
Okay, can you please, at this time, I'd like to mark this as 1.7, that being the tote lid. Do you recognize the barcode on that? Don't open it just yet, please.
Sure.
Do you recognize the barcode on that?
Yes, ma'am.
And that was CC 00808?
Correct.
Your Honor, I'd like to mark this as 1.7. Is that exhibit in the same or substantially the same condition, excluding, of course, any crime laboratory tape that may be on it?
Yes.
And do you recognize that to be the same tote lid that you submitted to the crime laboratory in connection with this case? I say you, the GBI submitted.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. At this time, Your Honor, I'd like to tender 1.7.
And you know, no objection, Your Honor.
It's submitted.
If we can open that tote lid, please. If you could remove that from the package. Your Honor, if that could be published.
Sure.
Is there anything that you noted about the condition of that lid that drew your attention in terms of its condition physically?
It's actually in pretty good shape.
Okay. Were there any cracks or wear on that?
None that I saw, and none that I see now.
Okay. And with respect to the handle areas on these totes, did you have an opportunity to look at them?
On the lid, I did not notice anything on the totes themselves, though I did notice some, what appeared to be some stretch marks around the tote handles themselves.
What is a stress mark?
So it'd be a deformation of the plastic. We have, say, a force put on that plastic that is greater than what it's designed to handle. Then you might see a cracking, you might see a split, or if anybody's ever overloaded a tote before, storage tote, then you know what I'm talking about. But the handle showed some stress, what appeared to me to be stress marks.
What would cause that, if you can say? You said overloaded. I'm asking, I guess, just to be more clear as to what you meant by that.
Well, if the toad had something heavy in it, that could have caused it, or if it had a force placed against it, with a resistance on the handle itself, then that could have been caused.
Okay. And did you see that on both the black and the gray toad, or just one?
So, but
You saw it on both. Okay. And you can put that away. I think you actually lost a tag over here.
yeah,
No. Thank you. Now, I apologize.
go ahead.
I believe you testified earlier that you did swabbings on the toads. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am. I swabbed the stains that were on the toast in order to test them, again, for the presumptive field test.
But you didn't do any other swabbings. That would have been the crime laboratory?
No. So, again, the field tests help us to determine the course of the investigation, decisions that we need to make while we're out there. But if we have an item of evidence that's small enough or portable enough that we can package it and take it with us and take it to the crime lab, then we'd much rather have the crime lab look at it than us. They have far more capability to process a piece of evidence in a laboratory setting than I do beside the road.
Okay. And so with respect to the other items that you recovered, I'm going to turn your attention to the cleansing wipes. Do you have those here with you today?
I do.
How were those packaged?
So there's several packages that contain wipes.
Before you show them, let's just go through what it is.
Sure.
Mhm. And how many packages were there if you want to check?
Five different packages that contain cleaning wipes.
Okay, and with respect to the cleansing wipe from the knife handle that we've seen, did you package that by itself or with other items?
I packaged it separately. I removed it from the handle of a knife and packaged it separately.
Why did you do that?
Well, so again, we talked about stabilizing and preserving evidence as best we can. The chemicals that are in the cleaning wipe can be hazardous for things that we want to test for DNA later on. So the sooner we can remove that chemical from exposure to something that we want to test, the better. And so we went ahead and removed that in order to preserve any possibility of DNA evidence from the handle of the knife. Although it may have been a little late for it, but we decided to at least give it a shot.
Would it be fair to say that no matter the condition of the crime scene, you still follow protocol?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so even though this crime scene, you don't know how long it had been exposed before the body had been dumped, essentially, did you still follow that same protocol?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, with respect to, I'm going to go through these numbers, CC 00794. I'm talking specifically, which cleansing wipe was that one?
This was the wipe that was wrapped around the handle of the Milwaukee knife.
Okay. And is that exhibit, the material itself that it's packaged in, do you recognize that?
I do. This is the bag that I packaged it in.
Do you recognize your handwriting on that?
I do.
And at this time, I'm going to ask that this be marked as 1.8, Your Honor. May I approach? Does it indicate on that exhibit where you recovered that item?
Yes, ma'am. There's an electronic label that's generated as a result of its entry into our digital evidence system. There's also a handwritten label that I applied to the outside of the bag.
And at this time, I would seek to introduce, Your Honor, 1.8 into evidence.
Any objection? No objection. Submitted.
I'm now going to turn you to CC 00795.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you recognize that?
I do.
What do you recognize that to be?
This is the cleaning wipe that was denoted by placard number 3.
Okay, and was that found in the same vicinity as the wipe that you just described from the knife?
Right. This would have been over basically in the same location with the black tote and the knife itself.
At this time, I'd like that to be marked as 1.9. Is that in the same or substantially the same condition as when you submitted it to the crime laboratory?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you recognize your handwriting in that actual barcode?
I do.
I'd like to tender this exhibit, Your Honor.
Any objection? No objection. Submitted.
At this time, I'd like to turn your attention to exhibit number CC 00799. While you're there, 802 and 803. Do you recognize those 3 barcoded exhibits?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
And what are those?
CC 00802 are the cleansing wipes recovered from the northwest corner of the intersection. These are some of the ones that would have been hanging from the tree.
Okay.
And then there were cleaning wipes that were marked by placard number 7 that are packaged with the barcode CC 00803. And the item marked with evidence property tag number CC 00799 contains cleaning wipes that I removed from the black plastic garbage bag that was marked by placard number 6 in the crime scene.
Okay. And at this time, Your Honor, I'd like to mark those as 1.10, 11, and 12 sequentially on 799, 802, and 803. 799. Are those in substantially the same condition as when you put them in the packages initially?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you recognize your handwriting on those
I do.
and the barcodes?
I do.
At this time, Your Honor, I would seek to tender exhibits 1 point, I believe it's
10, 11, and 12.
10, 11, and 12.
Any
No
objection?
objection, no.
They're all admitted.
Thank you. Now, when you put those wipes in there, would it be fair to say that they were already dry by then?
When I placed them inside those packages and sealed them, yes, ma'am, they were dry.
Okay. And so only if you know, is it possible to determine if DNA is recoverable on that? Meaning, do you submit items of this nature for DNA analysis?
Not generally.
Why not?
It's been, there are some cleaning solutions that do damage or harm the potential for recovery of DNA from evidence.
Okay.
So we decided, because the crime lab's resources are finite, and we just don't have the ability to test every single thing that we pick up at a crime scene. We want to start with the most items of most probative value. So the cleaning wipes were packaged and preserved, but and submitted to the lab, but I don't believe they were tested for DNA.
Okay. If you had recovered DNA on another item, would that impact your decision of whether or not to test additional items?
That could.
Okay, how so?
Well, as I said, a lot of the answers to the question are it depends.
Okay.
So, if we were to find, DNA on one item that was at one scene, we might want to test an item from another scene to determine if the same DNA was found. It just, again, it's determined by the needs of the investigation.
Okay. And can you look at CC 00793? The box. Do you recognize that?
I do.
What do you recognize that to be?
This is the knife box package, the fixed blade knife that we found at the first crime scene.
Can you tell the jury what is a knife box?
It's just a box that's designed to hold knives. Obviously, they present a safety hazard, so we put them in boxes like these to make sure that other people who are handling them know there's a sharp object inside, but also to protect the evidence itself.
Okay. I'd like to mark that, Your Honor, as 1.13. Do you recognize the handwriting on that exhibit?
I do.
And whose handwriting is that?
That's mine.
Are there any additional tapes on that box from when you first processed it?
Yes, there are.
And whose would those be, if you can tell?
These would be from the lab.
Okay. Other than those tapes, is that in the same or substantially the same condition as when you processed it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And Your Honor, I'm actually going to seek to tender this subject to connection, obviously, with the crime laboratory.
No objection.
All right, it's admitted.
Your Honor, in light of that, I would like for that box to be opened, please.
You can.
Can you publish that, please, Your Honor? If you can just remove that from the box, if that's possible. And is the sheath that was recovered from the crime scene also present on that exhibit?
Yes, ma'am.
And how long is the blade on that knife, if you can tell?
It's approximately 6 inches.
Okay. And does the sheath cover the entire blade?
It does if you put it on the right way.
Okay. And that means it would be seated all the way to basically the hilt of the knife, is that correct?
Correct. In that position, it covers the entire blade. If I were to take it, flip it over, and put it back on, it's not going to cover the base of the blade.
What way did you recover it?
I recovered it like this.
With the blade inserted basically upside down into the sheath?
Correct.
Thank you. And is that in fact the same knife that you recovered on December 2nd of 2022?
Yes, ma'am.
I thank you. Now, just so it's clear that they are here and with us, did you ultimately process the bugs from her leg in a fashion that they could be preserved safely?
So I was not responsible for processing those. Special Agent in Charge Lindsay Smith actually processed them.
Okay.
But yes, they were basically, for lack of a better term, rendered safe, preserved in alcohol and then sealed inside of a bottle. And then Dr. Mondor, I believe, sealed them inside his own packaging.
Okay. But you brought them here to court today?
I did.
Okay. And I'd like to just mark that for the purposes of this witness, Your Honor, so we don't have to go out of sequence later, if that's okay. And that would be 1.14. Do you have that here with you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And what kind of a container is that in?
This is essentially a paint can that's unused, but it's sealed inside there. So
Your Honor, I'd like to tender that subject to connection, obviously, from Dr. Mondor.
No objection, subject.
On 1.14, submitted without objection.
Now, here in the courtroom, did you bring with you the clothing that you had recovered from the scene?
I did.
Okay, and I'm directing your attention to CC 00798. Would that bag contain all of that clothing that you recovered?
It did not contain all of the clothing from the scene. It contains the clothing that was recovered from within the black plastic bag that was found at the intersection near where Mindy's torso was found.
And which items would those be?
The clothing items that were removed from the black garbage bag include some underwear, camisole top that's been either cut or torn into two pieces, and then a torn dark blue shirt that's long sleeved.
Okay, and that item that was in there as the camisole top, you said that that was cut, is that correct?
It appeared to be either cut or torn. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, but it was in two pieces?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and again, was there any clothing on any portions of the body?
No, ma'am.
I'd like to have
There
this
were none
marked.
on any of the portions that I was involved in the recovery of.
Okay, I'd like to have this marked as 1.15. Do you recall the condition that the underwear was in when you recovered it?
Yes, ma'am. They had some reddish brown stains on them, but they were also soiled, and they were either cut or torn as well.
Okay, and did you do anything with those clothing items? I know you said you used a drying rack. Were those also items that were placed in the drying rack?
Yes, ma'am. They had to be dried before they could be packaged properly.
Okay, and with respect to that series of items that are in there, is that the undergarment that was cut as well?
Yes, ma'am. The panties.
I'm referring to the underwear, yes,
The
the
underwear.
pants.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and specifically, could you tell or did you do any field testing at that time on those items?
No, ma'am. I felt at that point we had enough indication from the tests that we'd already done that we needed to limit the tests that we did to the clothing in order to preserve, any additional evidence could be gained from it at the lab.
Okay, so would it be fair to say that sometimes you don't do any testing, you just send it off to the crime lab?
Yes, ma'am. We do testing on the front end to inform the course of our investigation. It helps us make investigative decisions about what we need to do next. But it's always going to be a best bet to send an item to the crime lab in order to have lab testing done.
And you did that in this case?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, at this time, do you recognize the handwriting on 1.15 as your own?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that in the same or substantially the same condition as when you submitted to the crime laboratory for analysis?
Yes, ma'am.
At this time, I'd like to tender 1.15 into evidence.
No objection.
Submitted.
Now, ultimately, I'd like to go back for just a moment to the initial recovery of her remains. You indicated that you had to get down into the ditch, essentially, to recover her. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Would it be fair to say that put you close to her?
It did.
Can you explain to the jury what decomposition is?
Yes, ma'am. So I'm sure anybody who's driven down the road and smelled an animal has been hit on the side of the road has noticed an odor of decomposition before. Decomposition starts at death, and there are numerous different processes that I won't go into, but it basically involves the breakdown of the organic tissues of the body, and that's a natural part of death.
Okay. And you indicated that there's a smell associated with that. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Is it distinctive?
Yes, ma'am, very.
Okay. Does that smell change depending on the stage of decomposition?
Yes, ma'am. Generally, it's less noticeable in the early stages. However, as it becomes more advanced, the smell becomes stronger.
Okay. And without being inappropriate, have you handled many decomposing human bodies?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you familiar with the different smells at the different stages of decomposition?
More than I want to be.
Are you able to advise this jury what the stage of the smell was in your experience?
So they don't have stages so much that I can define scientifically speaking. I can tell you that, and again, generally, odor of decomposition is very mild to begin, and then as decomposition progresses and becomes more advanced, that odor becomes much more noticeable.
So in this case, portions of her remains were recovered on different days, correct?
Correct.
The torso, what piece was that?
And that was the first piece. Mindy's torso was the first part of her that was recovered.
Okay. And would you say that that was mild then or an advanced smell?
It was mild.
Okay. So at that point, would that have made any difference to you in your assertions or your thoughts about your investigation?
Yes, ma'am. And generally speaking, the less advanced the state of decomposition we find remains in, the shorter the period of time we would consider them to have been either deceased or at least have been dumped there.
Okay. So as of December 2nd of 2022, the smell was not heavy.
It was not very strong, ma'am. The ditch was cool too, and generally temperature has a significant impact on decomposition rates as well. The cooler it is, usually the slower decomposition occurs. Same way your refrigerator keeps your food fresh.
Okay. And would the water in this case have affected her body in any way when you recovered her torso?
Yes, ma'am. In particular, we noticed that her fingertips, the skin around her fingertips was wrinkled, what we call a washerwoman effect. And that's the same thing you can see if you ever go swimming and you notice after an hour or two, your fingertips are wrinkled. Your skin on your fingers absorbs water, and as it does, it's going to buckle some as it swells. It's the same thing that happened here.
And with respect to blood, you've testified as to retrieving her torso, retrieving the leg, and finding some blood in Savannah at the residence. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Let's start with her torso first. Can you describe for the jury whether or not she was still bleeding at the time that she was recovered?
No, ma'am.
Can you explain to them what that means with respect to how you she had open wounds, correct?
Right.
Was there any blood still coming from those open wounds?
No, we didn't notice any at that time.
And so with respect to her leg, was there any blood pooled where her leg was recovered that you recovered?
No, and again, keep in mind she was on her back in water, in mud, so it would have been very difficult to tell if there was any blood coming out of her body or issuing from her body at that time, regardless. But I did not notice any, not when I was in the ditch or even when we pulled her out later on.
And now going back to Savannah just for a moment, you showed us 2 images of where blood was recovered, or at least fluoresced, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Is there any other blood inside the Savannah residence that fluoresced?
No, ma'am.
Obviously, there was the very light fluorescence, not on the photograph.
Right, the one that was on the wall that you didn't see in the photograph, but yes, the wall, the floor, the futon. There was a space in the bedroom on the opposite side of the house from the den on the floor that we did notice some fluorescence on the floor, but Blue Star reacts with iron. So there was some iron furniture in that bedroom, and we swabbed an area just in case and sent it to the crime lab for testing as well.
Okay. And with respect to that area, do you know if there were any findings of blood in that bedroom?
No, there were not.
Okay. So the only place that blood was found is on the back of that futon mattress, on the floor, and on the wall?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do you have any way of knowing how much blood was there?
No, ma'am. Again, a small amount of blood can be spread over a large area and made to look like a large amount of blood, especially in the quantities that we're dealing with. We're talking about blood that can't be seen by the naked eye, so but only detected by chemicals, other than what was on the futon.
And specifically, I'm pointing to 1.1 RR. May I publish this, Ron? You see what I'm looking at?
I do.
Is that the saturation spot on the futon that you were referring to?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that all you had showing up on the back of the futon?
That was after the cover had been removed, but yes, that's what had appeared to soak through the futon and onto the mattress padding below.
Was this consistent with, if you can say, dismemberment?
I'm not a medical examiner, but there's more blood in the human body than that. So I would think not. But again, it's probably a better ME question.
But that's all the blood you found?
Yes, ma'am.
One moment, Your Honor. Just so I'm clear, did you look everywhere in the house?
So yes, so as part of the process, we blacked out the entire house with plastic, and so we covered over, the lights on the microwave. We made sure as much of the light was cut out as we could, and then we sprayed the ceilings, the walls, and the floor of every room.
In every room?
In every room.
And that's all the blood you found?
Yes, ma'am.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
We are recess.
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, if you'll step out, we'll take 10 minutes.
Kill 10-minute break. 10-minute break, y'all. 10-minute break. Whew. Lord have mercy. God, I am wondering what you guys think so far. What a jackbox. What is a knife box? Hold on a second.
All right, court's in recess, 2 minutes.
Okay, let's see what you guys say. Sylvia didn't do any commentary during the break. I thought I couldn't hear. No, I didn't do any commentary during the break. No, I was commentating on my food. I was eating. I don't know. I think she's finna do something, but I'm working. I didn't hear it. Yeah, don't show where Sylvia. I was J-Town. Y'all. I have to eat. You guys be running like a hardship here. I missed the morning section and watched Doug opening during the break. Hey Town, what up? Oh boy, we flipping tables in this one. Stretching, y'all. Short break. I think she's gonna do some blood work and I didn't hear it. Sylvia, no photos already. Arnett. I'm reading your messages, I believe. First witness. Yes, he's still the first witness to investigate it. He's laying out the foundation of everything. He didn't do a good job taking photos. Vanette says they better pull woman's pieces. I don't think they're gonna show that stuff on the TV. They said they have all the evidence and no motive linked to this guy. This is just a beginning, Manette. Just the beginning. She seemed a little mad about that. Sylvia Hay. You missed the state. You gotta, Lynette, you gotta watch the state opening. You gotta watch the state opening. The state opening, there's a lot of stuff. The part that got me right was him getting engaged with the other lady so quickly. How they linked him, and the car, he bought a $46,000 car and ended up burning it up. That and then the car was seen at the scene, and y'all, and then changing his name when he got to Pennsylvania. That, y'all, I don't know. It's sketchy. Sketchy. Yeah, he burned it, Renette. A brand new car, $46,000, paid in cash, and then get burned. I don't know, yeah, but there's possible doubt. But then the knife looks, and then the knife is the same type of knife. It's too weird, y'all. It's too weird. It's too weird. And then they said he burned it. That's what they said. He burned it. That's what they said. I don't know. I don't know if he burned it, but they said he burned it. But I want to know, did he report the car stolen or something like that? I just want to know. Because we need to know all the facts. Who's they? The prosecutor. The prosecution team. That's who's they. They got to find out if he put the car up, if he reported the car stolen, right? And if he did, when did he report it? That's the kind of stuff that you got to put them together. Yeah, Doug is about to cross him now, right? Yeah, I want to hear the cross. I really want to hear the cross. Remember, y'all, he is innocent until proven guilty. He's innocent until proven guilty. I know with all of this evidence, he's innocent until proven guilty. Hey, lovely lady, what are you doing in here? Hello, everyone. Jumped in from Sean G channel. Didn't get the notification. You probably didn't get it because I've been on all day. Been on all day. I went from Lucy's to this. Ooh, Trump just slapped Canada with a 35% tariff overnight. Mm. Mm. I guess his pint is don't buy anything unless it's made in America. Canada's gonna cut off the North power. Oh, they'll put a light switch. I wonder why people they gotta go get lighting from another country like that. Hmm. This is the longest 10 minutes, huh? Right? I know I'm quiet in here. Sorry, I was reading something. Interesting. I got a question for you guys. What do you think? This is a hypothetical question I have for you guys. What do you think about, say you there's a trial, right? There's a trial that that occurred. Person got life in prison, right? But they can, it's a possibility of parole. But what about if one of the jurors that was on the jury, lied and said they didn't know the person on trial, and you find out that you have evidence of that person knowing the family facts? You have a picture of that juror with you, knowing that juror years ago. You think that's a grounds for to overturn the case? The juror lied and said she didn't know them, but she actually knew the parties in the case. And this juror was one of the jurors that was pushing hard for his conviction. No, and he's found guilty and they convicted him. And she is the one that was in the jury thing, pushing the other jurors to convict. So, all right, I guess Doug is coming back to do his cross. It's 4:34. They're probably not going to do it today. Probably going to wait till tomorrow. Let's see.
Yes, sir.
This camera's, look, he's got the camera up. Dougie Doug in the building. Thank you, lovely lady, for the super sticker. Just drop in Karen Reed case again. Your spoke about yes, she spoke up. Lovely lady, high school. I know kids are not back yet, but high school.
All right, everyone, please be seated. All right, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I've just conferred with counsel, and we've covered a lot of ground today, and we don't know how long the cross-examination may take of this witness. So in light of the fact that it's 4:30, we've got some weather issues outside, we'll go ahead and excuse you for the day. Please abide by the court's previous instructions regarding access to media. Please don't watch, listen, or try to find out anything about the facts of the case. Again, you cannot talk to anyone about the case. Please abide by those instructions, and we will see you tomorrow morning at about 8:45. Thank you and have a good evening. Yes.
It's raining. It's been raining all over. All right, it's been raining all over Georgia. It's been raining, y'all. Well, guys, we are done for today on this side of this world. We've done a lot of coverage. So tomorrow I'll see you guys at 8:45, right? I'll see you guys tomorrow at 8:45, but I'm gonna go to the other channel, but not right now. I gotta take care of some stuff. And then I'll see you guys on the other side. It's raining in Florida right there too? Oh, okay. All right. So guys, I will see you guys very, very soon. Brittany, what's going on, girlie? Where you been? Good. Lovely lady. Tall glass. Did Rosie come back in here yet? Rosie in here. Rosie probably knocked out sleep. Yeah, we're gonna talk about some things on the other side. All right, I'll see you guys later. See you later, Brandy. Bye, guys. Later.
Thank you for watching the infamous Sylvia channel, where laughter and fun make up our panel. Together we build this digital spree. We appreciate you and our growing family. With mods by our side and chat flowing free in this online space. It's just you and me, we laugh until tears roll down like the rain. In this virtual world, you ease my pains. We're a family, not just a show. Every click and comment makes us grow. Minds in check, keeping the vibe so right. Together we shine like stars in the night. We cherish the moments, the highs and lows, from the latest gossip to stories untold. You're more than a viewer, you're part of the crew in this space of ours. It's all because of you. This digital world where emotion is shared, every post and reaction showing we care. The love is real in this virtual domain. With every sign, enjoys what we'll gain. We're a family, not just a show. Every click and comment makes us grow. Minds in check, keeping the vibe so right. Together we shine like stars in the night. We're a family, not just a show. Every click and comment makes us grow. Minds in check, keeping the vibe so right. Together we shine like stars in the night. This digital world where emotion is shared, every post and reaction showing we care. The love is real in this virtual domain. With every sign, enjoys what we'll gain. We're a family, not just a show. Every click